Errol might be one of the top 5 most versatile guys in boxing right now. How he can beat you, because he can beat you however. I mean, the fact that he can kind of decide how he beats you is crazy. Like, he can be like, yeah, I'm just gonna bull rush this dude, or not bull rush, but like just gonna bulldoze him, or yeah, fight him from the outside and beat him this way. He not a lot of fighters have that luxury of being able to do that, and I think, like Ant said, it'll be interesting to see what he does.
I think he was the plan was he was gonna pressure and beat the shit out of Shawn until Shawn said, "All right, fuck this." Shawn said, "Yeah, no, hey, that was the plan. He was coming to sleep Shawn. He was coming to sleep you." I was like, "Uh-oh." But I got me as your friend. I was like, "I know my guy. He ain't going for this." Yeah, he was coming to sleep you. And Mikey and then both Garcia fights, he wasn't coming to sleep nobody. He was coming to sleep Shawn.
Yeah. And I also...
You didn't feel that? Because you was in the ring. What happened?
Yeah, I was like, I'm like, maybe I'm too far away from the situation now to understand how he approached it. But yeah.
I felt like the first 20 seconds, I was like, uh-oh. He coming to prove something. Huh?
Yeah. He came from my head.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you felt that too?
No, I'm asking. He's
yeah.
And one thing, we've said this before, but the fact that Errol has some diehard fans, God love them.
Oh yeah.
But
in our comments,
well, they're not just in our comments, but they're just in everyone's comments that the Shawn Porter fight was close because Errol said I'm going to fight Shawn like that, and he did. Which I'm not saying that wasn't his intention, and I'm not saying he didn't do that to an extent.
He got the job
done. He got the job done, but also he didn't have a choice at some point.
Yeah.
He didn't have an option to just fight from the outside. Shawn wasn't going to let that happen. Yeah. So while his mindset may have been, I'm going to come in there, I'm going to Shawn Porter, you might have done that, but at some point you didn't have a choice. There wasn't a plan B. You couldn't do anything else.
It's like when you're playing somebody and you got, the buckle, you got one buckle up on your chin strap, you're like, all right, this motherfucker come to play. You got to double buckle up. Okay, I got to beat him. Okay. This ain't easy as I thought it was going to be. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
And it also gives you, and I'm not saying this is the case with Errol, but it also gives you not an excuse, but to say I'm going to fight Shawn Porter and it's going to be a firefight, because then you set the expectation that that's what it's going to be. So whether it happens by your choice or by Shawn's, you can be like, oh, and that's kind of what happened. Oh, see, he said he was going to do that. That's why it looked like that. So if I'm like, if we play basketball, he'll probably beat me because whatever. And then I lose that way. I'm like, oh yeah, see, I told you it was going to happen. So there's a little bit of that where it was like, oh, it's going to be a firefight. And it was, but it wasn't just like his choice, I guess.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw my neck out there. If you guys, and I'm not saying y'all specifically, anybody, rewatch the first 2 rounds of his fight with Mikey Garcia, and you'll see hesitation from Errol. You'll see Errol not really working accordingly the way we know Errol to work. The build up, and then the knockout. The first 2 rounds, you see hesitation. You see him not being sure how to get at Mikey and how he really wanted to box Mikey. But you see him have small success with his jab in the 3rd round and in the 4th round. The first 2 rounds were close rounds, and it was because Errol was hesitant. It was because Errol was not definitive with what he wanted to do. Then he found his jab in rounds 3 and 4, and that became what he did to win the fight. After the fight, he says, well, everybody said I could not box Mikey, so I went in there with the jab and showed y'all I could not box Mikey. He did what he found what worked, and then he used that to win the fight. It wasn't that he was going in there to beat Mikey outboxing him. It was that he didn't know, and then he found something. He worked it. He used it. It worked. There were opportunities where he could have not.
Also, he's a chameleon.
No. And
we ain't taking nothing from him.
And we could say the same thing, moving forward. Like, that's who he is as a fighter. He's gonna find what works, and then he's gonna use that. When it came to my fight with me, he's telling everybody he wants to beat me. He can beat me on the inside and he can outbang me and things like that. Meanwhile, everybody forgets that he tells me in interviews, multiple interviews, I hope you try to box me. I hope you try to just use the jab. You can't beat me just using the jab, because he was trying to play a mind game, hoping that I wouldn't come at him with the kind of techniques and styles that I have in order to do what it takes to beat him. Then he comes in the ring and I forced him into my fight. It wasn't that he came to the ring trying to beat me on the inside and outbang me and I can outwork Shawn Porter. I forced him to fight my fight. And then the fight went the way that it went. There were close rounds. There were some more definitive rounds that went my way and more definitive rounds that went his way. But
one of the greatest fights I've ever seen in my life.
Exactly. And I forced him into that fight. The same way Mikey, he knew what Mikey had and he came out hesitant with Mikey. So you have a situation where he beats Mikey using his jab, but it was more so him finding that was what was going to work. And then you see the same thing with us. Yo, we banged it. We banged it out. Yeah. But I forced him to bang. It wasn't that he came in there like, I'm going to outbang Shawn. I forced him to fight my fight. And it played out the way that it played out. So when moving forward, he said, I can beat him in his own game. I can do this and I can do that. You Chameleon. You got skills. You can do it. But don't fake the funk like that was your plan all along, was to beat me and banging me. And I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
I forced you into fighting my fight the same way you came out against Mike and you were hesitant and then found a jab was more effective than anything else, and you stuck with that. So
yeah,
I'm saying all this to say, like, don't let these guys, talk y'all into believing a lot of the hype, because it becomes just hype.
And yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like he beat you. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Extremely close fight.
We ain't taking nothing from him.
Nothing from him. But then that's what his fans will try to do to discredit you, that, oh, he said he was going to do that. So obviously,
And before the fight, they were saying knockout. I had somebody come up to me and say,
EJ said he was going to knock him out.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man. That's one of the greatest fights that I've been a part of. Hey. And I know from being on the outside of the ring, when a round ends and you sit down and you look at left and right and you like, I don't know who won that round. You are experiencing greatness. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I don't have to defend what I did in the ring that night. Like, it was all done and everybody saw it, Don't tell me you didn't enjoy what you saw, because I know you did. What you need to do now, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, hit that notification button. Check us out every week, every Tuesday, something new for you right here on the Porter Way Podcast.